Is everyone doing well tonight?
I am. How about you?
Yeah, not bad. My wife cooked a pot roast for supper, and then I had chocolate pudding, so I'm well fed.
Oh, my husband's bringing home pizza.
Oh, you know, that's what we usually, before this COVID thing, we used to have pizza about every Friday night with the kids. Anybody
Yep.
could take it over. Hi, Tim. I can't hear you.
Evening, sir. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
Turn it down. Night, honey.
So my son and my daughter-in-law, they had a baby today.
Oh, congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's pretty exciting.
Now, is that grandchild number one or
Number 8.
8? Oh, very good. Congratulations.
I'm very anxious to see him, but you can't go to the hospital.
Oh, that's right. Because
I know.
yeah.
Where are they, Beth?
They live in Candia, but they had the baby at Dover Hospital.
Yeah.
It's the best one to have.
Is it?
Wentworth
Yeah.
Douglas?
WDH is the best hospital, yeah.
Keep that in mind. I'm just kidding.
Who said to keep that in mind?
I think that was
I
Susan.
did. Susan
talking.
did. I was totally kidding.
Are you planning on more babies?
Not want another baby. I have one and she's driving me insane.
There's a reason why you have your babies when you're in your 20s.
I was 32, so
Yeah, see, that's the reason why you have them in your
Yeah.
20s.
You guys interrupted me. I was trying to get some work done here.
Oh, I noticed High Street. Good job, Chris.
Oh, we're trying.
Yeah.
So this is what we're building right here.
Ooh, nice.
Hope you get a permit.
Huh? We're not in Northwood. You don't worry about it.
Jesus. Keep walking
just
around.
been
Ain't
handing-
taking this pill.
I've just been handing permits out. I didn't know that there was a system.
No system.
Yeah.
I just,
Swing by and pick one up. It'll be all right.
yeah, like I leave it outside for whatever,
Yeah.
She has them spread out like cards. Pick a card, any card.
What do you want to build?
Mr. Chairman, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you. Just got a little firewood ready for the campfire tonight, so I'm hoping the meeting doesn't go too long.
Speaking of extra wood there, with the Beanpole Bash, we could probably bring some of that over to Old Turnpike Road.
Say that again.
So Linda wanted some wood, right? Needed some wood. So some of that Beanpole Bash wood, she must well take.
Yeah, and I've got some other stuff too. We'll have to work that out once it's a little cooler.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they cancel the Beanhole Bash, Tim?
Yep.
Wow,
That Deerfield Fair's canceled.
Yep.
Which I don't understand. Deerfield Fair is not till the end of September, beginning of
Well,
October.
Because they had an influx of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island of COVID cases go back up. So they're afraid people are going to travel that far to come. So I think that's one of the reasons. Plus, half the carnies and stuff they don't trust anyway. So on a good year.
Well, I heard the ride vendor wasn't going to take his equipment out for one fair. He needed it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Probably
makes
the
sense.
same with some of the other food vendors.
It's
Yeah.
not worth you packing up the circus for 4 days.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, we got everybody here, so I guess we'll
Man,
start.
all clean,
start the
haircut,
meeting.
combed, shaved. Look at that. What a dapper looking young man that is.
What? Nothing but the best for you.
I don't have my-
I got a t-shirt, pair of shorts on.
I'm
Chris is
so
sitting in his car.
Hey, I still got a roof to do on this thing.
So, Chris, is that shed for you or for your wife?
No, that's for a friend of mine.
Oh,
Okay, so, sorry. So,
Yes, Bethy has a friend.
as
two.
Chair of the Northwood Board of Selectmen, I find due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19, and in accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. There's no physical location. However, I am confirming the following. One, public access to the meeting is going to be via YouTube. There's a posting on the website with that information. If you have any questions or problems with access, please call Susan, or are we calling Susan or Lisa?
I did both.
Do rock, paper, scissors.
Call Susan or Lisa at extension 211 or 214. And if, oops, what's that sound?
Chris, shut your car off.
Getting out of the car.
Oh.
It's your road agent. There you go.
And if we have trouble on the Zoom meeting or the public hearing us or seeing us on YouTube, the meeting will be adjourned. You might not hear or see a vote, but we will adjourn. So I'm going to start off with a roll call vote. All votes will be via roll call. I just need a piece of paper. Sorry. Okay, so roll call vote, or roll call just for attendance. Matt.
Present.
Beth.
Present.
Tim.
Present.
And Hal. Okay, I'd like everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please face the closest flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to be toggling back and forth, so that's why you'll see me looking a little bit down on the screen so I can see the agenda. I think the first thing up is approving the minutes from June 16th. They were passed out just before the start of our previous meeting. I'm hoping that folks have had a chance to read them and review them. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve them as written, or does anybody want to make a motion to approve them with certain amendments?
I'll move to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, Matt, and then Tim seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Matt.
Yes.
Beth.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
And Hal. Yes. Thank you. Okay, next up is the contract for paving. John and Chris, I guess you want to talk about that.
One thing that came up after we had opened the bid, Chris, was a vendor who claimed he had submitted a bid that we did not have. Did you ever find out more information about that one?
I did.
I gave it to Chris.
Oh, just one at a time. Chris.
It was dropped off on Monday, and when it got picked up in the box by Diana, she put it inside my mailbox and didn't know about it.
Who was that, Chris? What vendor?
GMI.
No, no thanks.
Okay, so we missed opening that publicly. Do we want to open it publicly now, or how do we want to handle that?
I do have the bid. I'm actually heading down to the transfer station to grab it out of my truck right now. So if we can just move on past that for 1 second to our next one, and we'll go, and I'll come back to me.
Oh, okay. So you want us to move on to another topic and then come back to that, Chris?
Yes, please.
Okay, will do. Okay, so then next up on the list is approving the deputy finance job description. And John, you had sent that out earlier. I know this file is currently open in another application. I'm trying to find it here. John, so you had sent this out, and I know I had sent some comments back. Did you get any other comments, John?
No, I don't think I had any other comments. I think yours were the only ones that I had. Why don't you share them? I know either one of us could, but why don't you share what your thoughts were?
Okay, I'm going to try to find that. I'm having a little trouble. It keeps saying I had this, I thought, where I could open it.
I'll send it to you again.
Yeah, why don't you, please? Let me just see if I can find it here.
You need to read something off of Hal, because I got it right here in front of me. What do you want? Your comments?
Yeah. Do you have it in front of you there?
Print it off. Block it. Oh, John's got it. Good.
I just sent you the form. Did you also want your comments or just?
I wanted the comments, to tell you the truth, because you know everybody has the form. Well, actually, let's just do this. I thought I shared my comments with everybody. Did I not?
You did.
Oh, okay. Well, does I know what my comments are. I can remember them at least vaguely. Does anybody want to discuss what my comments were or whether they're appropriate? How do folks feel about them?
That's all set. Anybody?
Well, why don't we go over them for the public's sake? Because the public hasn't heard what those comments are, and they should be read into the record. So.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Since it's my note. Let me just find it here real quick. Deputy. Okay, I can't find it.
So at the risk of embarrassing Mr. Scruton, the subject line is "this time with file."
Was what?
Yeah, I know that, but, oh, hold on a second. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Okay, so I'm recommending 4 or 5 changes here. One is there's some text associated with preparing, organizing, and executing FEMA, recovery costs, grant related to COVID, et cetera, et cetera. And my suggestion was that these may not be the only things and that maybe we should just make that more generic, sort of like, you know, just assist in preparing, organizing, and executing all state, local, and federal cost recovery programs.
I wouldn't necessarily put the word all in there, but preparing, organizing, and executing form for FEMA, and future similar situations for the town or something like that, I wrote.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good enough for me. Second one is amend the title to reflect that it includes some fairly significant admin duties. I don't know how others folks feel about that one, but my concern is if it's just deputy finance, folks in the community may think we need 2 finance people, when in reality, yes, this position would help on some of the finance related things. But there's also, I think, actually more admin or administrative related duties there. How do folks feel about that one?
Beth's got a question.
Go ahead, Beth. Thank you.
I thought when we were doing all of the other job descriptions, we took the administrator part out of them and put specialist, didn't we?
Well, that was for like finance and some of the other ones, land use specialist.
All the good news.
They were land use administrator or something before, weren't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't feel real strongly about this. I just brought it up because
You could do administrative assistant / deputy finance specialist or something like that. Is that what you had in mind, Hal?
yeah, something like that to indicate, you know, that you know, there's a fair amount of admin related stuff, important stuff, you know, stuff that with a lot of responsibility associated with it, but nonetheless admin.
If we're changing the name title, does that mean another posting? Does it, oh, you know what I mean?
Where this is internally.
In-house, okay, in-house, yeah,
Promotion only, I think you could do that without.
okay.
Okay.
No more, yep.
I like John's suggestion. How do other folks feel about that? Okay with that? I'm not hearing any disagreements. So I'm going to take that as yes. Okay, thanks. And then the next one is, oh yes, the question of exempt versus non-exempt. I know that we had discussed that the finance, original finance specialist job description originally was an error. We had thought it should really be salary exempt.
I don't think under Fair Labor Standards you can make this salary.
Okay, well, that's a simple answer and very straightforward then, John. Thank you.
You can the finance person, but not the deputy.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then my other suggestion was this at least appears to me to be a position that might get involved with the preparation of the budget. And I suggested adding that as one of the tasks. How do you feel about that?
My thought, I want it to be clear that this isn't going to be the person who represents to the budget committee. She might prepare backup material for whoever's presenting to the, she might run reports or something, which I think we have in here, but I wouldn't think this is going to be the person. It's going to either be finance. I mean, right now it's Linda doing the administrative and finance usually. It would only be a backup role because we don't overload this position,
I think we have a tendency to do that, so we got to be careful.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't have to agree so readily, John.
He knows you so well already.
Okay, anyway. Okay, so it sounds to me like we are willing to make it more generic in terms of the emergency cost recoveries, or at least John made some suggestions there. And I think John also made the recommendation to change it to, say it again, admin assistant.
Okay. The two changes I made in there based on your recommendation was the position is entitled Administrative Assistant / Deputy Finance Specialist. And the line with FEMA now reads, assist in preparing, organizing, and executing forms for FEMA and future similar situations for the town.
Okay, those are good. Oh, you know what? I skipped one. And again, John, I'd appreciate your feedback on this. What about tasks related to procedures and policies and keeping those up to date? Or is that just one of the assignments?
That would be under other duties, depending upon the balance of the, it could well be the town administrator would be doing that one. I just,
Okay.
I'm not sure I would put it into this position as part of the job description.
And not put it into as specific. Okay, very good. So does everybody agree with those two changes? That if everybody agrees with those two changes, then I'm looking for a motion to approve the job description with the two amendments that John proposed. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
And a second by Tim. Thank you.
Beth.
That's okay.
Further discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call vote. Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and Hal, yes. Thank you for that. Okay, so let me just see if I can close out of this. And thank you for bearing with me on that. Okay, next up is High Street. I guess I was just looking for an update, and just based on the earlier conversation, it sounds like Chris took care of that.
Chris is back with us.
Pardon? Oh, he's back with us. Yeah, Chris, do you want to say anything else about High Street?
No, just letting you guys know that High Street is taken care of. There is blockades and barriers on both sides.
Okay.
With access for foot traffic only.
And you made sure the neighbors knew what was going on so that they know how to access their houses and stuff?
I talked to them directly, and like I said, it only really affects one household.
One, yeah, at
I
the
mean, the
top.
fire department knows, right, Chris, to go up around the corner instead of cutting, you just, seriously, I mean, you gotta drop an email to Glenn and Mark, just the hell of it.
Yeah, actually not a big point.
Let him know, and the fire chief, I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's keep the word out. Okay, then next up on the agenda, well, actually, since Chris is here, Chris, do we want to go back to the awarding of the paving contract and open up that bid, please?
Sure.
And my apologies that we missed that on the first go round.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it, but.
Well, I think it's, people are trying to do what they're told. And so if they see something addressed to you, well, I think the normal reaction would be put it in your mailbox. So,
So this is GMI Asphalt Corporation. Where's this one? Jesus.
Which we had trouble with them in the past for not really doing a good down the middle strip, just to keep that in mind, so.
Yeah. GMI Asphalt Corporation, reclaiming paving plus top coat. Total bid comes into $534,911.20. So it
Minus the top coat, just real quick. Oh,
no, that's with the top coat, is it not?
$37 than our next in line. But
Chris, since we're recommending only the part Schedule A, what is their bid on Schedule A?
$351,135.20.
And that compares with the next low bidder, R&D, which is $385,403.
Correct. So it's a little over 30,000.
Yeah.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
It's not worth it to me with them. They don't know how to seal the middle lanes. It's gonna be a big gap there. We've had trouble with them before in the past. So with the extra money, I think we're gonna be better off with R&D. That's my opinion.
Okay, so Tim and then Beth.
I agree with Tim. We weren't very successful with that company.
So that unfortunately that is my recommendation as the road agent to move with R&D.
Wait, you said unfortunately.
With R&D on this. We've had pretty good luck with their work in the last 2 years that they have done for us.
Matt, do you want to weigh in?
I'm going to defer to the people who know more about this than I.
That's what I was thinking of doing too. It's not that much difference in the overall scheme of things. And if we get an early failure or something like that, it's a lot of money to redo. Beth.
Did they happen to bid on the library?
R&D or GMI? R&D.
GMI.
R&D did.
Wait, hold on. Did R&D bid on the library?
Yes, 13,500, I believe the number was, and then we have Manchester Paving out of Northwood that bid at 12,000.
Manchester Paving.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's do one at a time here. And actually, you know what? We only need to decide on the roads. I think you and John can work with the trustees on the library.
Yep.
So let's focus on the discussion here. There's approximately a $30,000 difference between the bids. John, did you want to say something in addition?
I wanted to, there's one other piece that enters into here. I had mentioned earlier to look at the price for just Schedule A, subtotal A, reclaiming. And the recommendation that Chris and I have come up with based on the funding is that we've got about 385,000. If we take 35 out of the operating budget and the 350 that are in the that is in the warrant article, So our recommendation is that what you're really considering, that way there you can do all 3 roads, but you're gonna have to go back and do the top coat another year. But our recommendation is to do just the reclaiming and the base coat for all 3 roads, but to get all 3 of them done. So that's another item that I would want included in whatever the motion is.
Okay, what I thought you said at the last meeting, John, was, and Tim, I'll get to you in just 1 minute. I just want to clarify. So when you said read off what was on Schedule A, is that without the top coat?
Correct.
Yeah, 385 is without the top coat.
And did you not also agree with Chris to recommend doing it without the top coat, because then we wait a couple years and then do the top coat? That gives us a better result and saves us some money, right?
I believe waiting 1 year saves you money. I think if you go 2, you got to be careful you don't end up waiting 4 and 5. I mean, you got to make sure you go back. That's the main thing.
Okay, Beth?
We probably should start going back on all the other roads we did.
Yeah,
Some year you should just, I mean, maybe next year you should not schedule new roads, but just go top coat more of them, because as you can see, top coat is only running, it's not running just about half
yeah,
it does to reclaim and put the base on.
Yep.
yeah. So as long as we have something good underneath, putting the top coat on then does make sense.
Yes.
Okay. Tim, I'm sorry, I skipped
That's
you.
fine. 2 questions. Do we have any money like this for seal crack and to maybe limp some of these roads a couple more years? And we give somebody the bid for Ridge Road. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, those trees have got to come down on that hill. The roots are just ripping that road up. So unless we come up with money for the trees, there's no need doing from Tasker Hill Road up to like Angela Drive. I know I mean, unless we're gonna start on Tasker Hill, turn left, go out towards Mobile, and then come back and do that other stretch. Because I mean, there's no use doing the road unless we do it right. Those trees have been messing that road up for years. So
The only thing I caution us on as far as the trees go.
Chris, talk a little closer to the phone.
The only thing I caution about as far as the trees go on Ridge Road, I have to talk to Linda and find out if that's deemed a historic or.
Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Yeah, sorry.
that road is not a scenic byway.
It is not?
Nope.
Okay.
Sherburne Hill Road was, and I got that taken off a couple of years ago when they did that.
Are you going to have trouble with the abutters as far as removing the trees? Because usually the rule is they're there to cover a problem, and then they're at the town's trees.
We are going to have issues there.
Yeah. I remember Tim's, I remember comments similar to Tim's on a couple other roads, and ultimately we did decide to do something with the trees before we did something else. I remember several select boards saying they don't want to throw good money after bad. So that's definitely a consideration. Beth?
Well, then can we just ask Chris to look into the cost of the removal of some of those trees?
So I have 3 quotes, Urban Tree, Arbor Care, and there's one other. We're looking in excess of close to 30,000.
That's just Ridge Road or all the roads?
That's Ridge Road plus 4 other trees that we have on
Old Turnpike, right?
Old Turnpike Road. Yep. Thank you.
Do you happen to know what species those trees are along Ridge?
They're
There's
all
pine trees. There's a
They're all
few
pines.
maples.
Okay.
I got the quote right here, Chris.
Sick ash trees would have been easier to make a case for.
Yep.
Yeah.
On Ridge Road, there's 23 large white pine trees. A couple big, like big, limbs that stick out for a price of $18,250. This is from Urban. On Tasker Hill, that short little road, there's 2 large pines, one large pine, 2 large ashes, 3 maples, and 5 large oaks. That's 73. So those 2 little roads, you're talking like 25,500, and then up on Old Turnpike, it's 3,700. So
Yep.
you're looking at like just about 29,200 for this one company, and that's obviously crane work, but 30,000 to me it's worth getting it, but the people that live in the bed and breakfast there might have the troubles, and the chimney sweep lady.
Yes, I think that's traditionally been one of the issues. Any suggestions on how we deal with this? Because Tim, I really buy into your thought there that, spending that much money to pave the road and then have it ruined doesn't sound like good use of the taxpayers' money. Any thoughts on what the process, are they actually in the right of way that we have the right to take them?
You're inside stone wall.
Inside or outside?
Inside, like inside the road, from stone wall to stone wall across the road.
Okay.
I think there's a process whereby the road agent has to declare them a hazard if the owner is objecting to it. And the owner is entitled to the wood because technically the owner of the abutting property owns the trees, even though they're on our side of the road, but we have the right to remove them if they're a safety issue. And I think you can make that case.
Well, if we can't keep the road maintained properly, that's certainly in my mind a safety issue.
Yeah,
and if we let it deteriorate because we can't pave it, it's by de facto going to become a safety issue.
Yep.
Okay, so it's another $30,000 to do that.
That's all three roads combined. Yes.
Yeah, that's all three. So the ones on Ridge Road, especially, when I went through with Ed from Urban Tree Service and going through the ones on Tasker Hill, there's really only 4 or 5 that really have to come out, but the other ones that are in, they're at probably their life expectancy, unfortunately. So I had him price those in just in case. So potentially the cost could be significantly lower, but unfortunately with Ridge Road, it's not going to be.
Okay, so what's the board's pleasure on this? I'll just remind you that I sent out a note indicating where we're at relative to cumulative budget.
Also, one more thing is there's still that 2 culverts that should have been replaced. They hit ledge on one of them, and we're going to close our eyes for another 20 years. They're right by the Sugar Mom and Deblock's driveway, and the one that got plugged up needs to be replaced.
So the one that's by Deblock's driveway, that is a concrete box.
Excuse me.
So, and it's actually in decent shape. Granted, it's not as deep as we'd like, but
that's the one that they have passed across the road. They started.
Yeah, they put the concrete back in place.
That was from Sugar Mama's back to Ricky Wolf's. That one.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Now we're coming back towards Matt Sweet's house.
The one by Matt Sweet's house, me and Stuart dug that up. That is a failing culvert. That's one we've had multiple issues with earlier this spring with blockage. That is something we can handle as a town ourselves, not hiring a contractor.
We just got to get that done before the reclaimer comes through.
Yep, absolutely. That's why it was kind of a blessing in disguise with Harvey Lake Road and the culverts failing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I guess if you want to call it that. I'm sure the folks on the road don't feel quite that same way, but
I've had significant feedback on that, and people are loving it.
Yeah, it's actually better now. Yeah.
For a gravel patch, it's better than the road.
Yeah, well, that says something, doesn't it?
So.
Okay, so it sounds to me, if I interpreted everything that we discussed so far, it sounds to me like we're looking at the R&D to do the paving, but there's a strong push to get the trees associated with that done. Now, is that the full $30,000, or are some of those trees on roads that we aren't going to be paving?
There are some. what was it, Tim? Like $5,600 on Old Turnpike?
3650, I think.
37.
Let me pull it back up.
Okay. So it's down maybe to 26 or 27,000.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, it was
at
30.
this point,
Yeah.
you know, we can always, like Beth suggested, come out of Tasker Hill and basically finishing Ridge Road up to Mobile, and then coming back at a later date and doing the remainder. After we get the trees done.
Beth first and then Tim, please.
Tim said that, not me.
So, sorry, Tim.
I would rather do it. That way we can get back on the plan of doing top coats on, you know, we have Sherburne Hill Road and we have so much we have to do. I mean, I'd rather just take the trees that we need to make the road safe for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it is a community decision. Tim, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just suggest if we do award it, they probably back up a little bit, Chris, right? R&D. So what they have I say probably sometime after the 4th of July, correct?
Yeah.
1st of August, you know? So
I know R&D is in Claremont right now on a pretty significant grind. And
yeah, they've got quite a bit of tonnage up there. I've talked to the guy before. So,
I mean, we got a little bit of time, not a lot.
So we got like 2.5 weeks to talk to these people, get a hold of Urban, and get it done, because obviously R&D, when they come in, they're going to come in, they'll have it ground out, paved,
We'll
the
go.
whole town in a week and a half, you know?
Right.
We're not going to hold them up, but if all else fails, like I said, we start at the bottom of, I would say, on the other side of the chimney sweep lady's driveway, you know, right by Matt's Pond, come all the way out to Mobile. And I wouldn't even do anything from Angela Drive to the top of the hill. We'll just do that all in one swipe and then do the other 2 roads. So,
Beth.
We did tell the town though, when they voted, we were going to do the entire road.
Matt, go ahead.
Well, I mean, seeing as we're paying for this out of a warrant article, we're somewhat constrained. I think we have to follow the letter of the warrant, and we specifically named those roads in the warrant. So we're kind of locked in.
Yeah. So Tim has a disagreement in terms of doing the whole thing. Is it because of the trees, or?
I ride up and down that road every day coming home, and it's just getting worse and worse. Those roots are just pounding that road out.
Okay, so are you okay with doing the whole thing, provided we take the trees out?
Oh, you take the trees out, yeah, do everything. But if you don't take the trees out, you might as well, you're spending on that strip of road, that hill right there is probably 1,000, 1,500 feet. There's $25,000, $30,000 just thrown right out the window, just to do that hill in pavement.
And that's what we're throwing away, is what you're saying?
Yep.
If we don't do the trees.
Well, it sounds like to me, it sounds like we have to do the trees.
I'm in agreement.
Am I missing something? We promised the town, you know, if you've passed the warrant, we're going to do the work. So I think we have to hold the promise, and if holding the promise, we're going to have to find the money. So John, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, I think one thing, Chris, you're going to have to be real careful with your operating budget highway money if you're taking 35 towards this project and another 30 towards the trees, because we need to look at the bottom line of the entire budget. And frankly, that's only one of the few places where you're going to be able to save money. So have you committed much of your highway construction money already, or will you be able to return money to help offset what's happening elsewhere in the budget?
I mean, for the most part, the only issue we've had construction-wise is the failure of the culverts on Harvey Lake. That's this most significant money I'll be spending up to date so far this year.
What do you got left in the gravel budget, Chris? I know we need some.
I've only used approximately about $1,000 of that.
Yeah, there's almost the whole budget there. And Chris, can you like maybe just keep the weather a little warm during November and December so we don't spend so much on?
I would love to.
So before we pave these 3 roads, we're going to put heat tape in the roads. Keep them,
hey, that's what
38 degrees.
Okay. So we're going to save let's just pave more. We saved so much. Yeah. Okay. Well, if I'm interpreting what folks are saying, it looks like we don't really have much of a choice. We promised to do the roads. The vendor that we trust to do this correctly is at 385, so it's 35 more than the warrant. We're going to have to take the rest out of the operating budget. And the 30,000 to do the trees is going to have to come out of the operating budget too. And to John's point, we're just going to have to really watch the rest of, especially Chris's budget, to make sure we don't have any issues.
What you said the total figure we have for paving for the warrant article was 385?
No, 350.
350. Okay, what about the highway block grant? Because that's not including that, correct?
We have
Yeah, well-
350 plus 100.
Yeah, well,
You've already
we went
stolen
through
that,
all
haven't you?
that. I'm just going to cut to the chase on that. John and I went through all that. John, you can share the spreadsheet with Chris too. I know we shared it with the other select board members. But it's, even considering all those things that you said, Chris, it's, the overall budget's tight. Let me just say it that. John's experience is we should be, maybe closer to 5%. And right now we're at 3% in terms of what we think we're going to be under. Doesn't say we can't make some more adjustments and, point out some more things where we can say, but it's already probably tighter than we would like at this point. Let's just say it that way. So, well, I think maybe John and I will commit to looking at that monthly, just so we keep a close eye on that. But, again, quite frankly, we committed to the town to do this, and I think we have to manage the money to do so effectively. And, let this be a lesson to us for the future, where when we talk about some of these things and put them into the budget, let's listen carefully to folks like Tim that say, well, don't just think about the paving, including the cost and the warrant, the trees and stuff like that too. And I think we just have to start listening more carefully to stuff like that. Otherwise we'll run into this problems all the time. So I guess what I'd like is a motion to.
Real quick, interrupt, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm looking at the wording of the warrant, and it reads that this would include all town road projects, including paving on Tasker Hill Road and Ridge Road. So the fact that it says paving on Tasker Hill Road and Ridge Road, I think does allow us a little bit of wiggle room if we want to use semantics to do part of Ridge as opposed to all of Ridge. I do imagine there'll be some people who are upset, but I think if it's, if it's not just us being sneaky trying to save money, but rather making sure that we're being careful with the bottom line and doing part of the job, paying for the tree removal and then coming back immediately to fix it, I think we've got some wiggle room. Again, I am probably the least qualified member of this board to speak about how to do the road maintenance. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, so Beth, then Tim. Oh, Beth, you're on mute.
It's $30,000. I mean, is GMI they were $30,000 cheaper. Are they doing a better job with their paving now? If we went and looked and see what roads they're doing, are their seams better? I mean,
Good point.
I mean, it was something I could look into, but I would definitely caution us.
I think we need to find the money somewhere else. I wouldn't have those company come back into town as far as I'm concerned.
so Chris, you said not all the trees had to. So
On Ridge Road, Tasker Hill, Ridge Road, yes.
if we just if they have 2 trees, do you think we'd cut that price down?
I could definitely cut that down. Like I said, for instance, the ones on Ridge Road, all of them have to come out. And I believe that was 12,000. The ones on Tasker Hill, I had him go down through the whole line, give me a price on everything, worst case scenario. And I could definitely cut the Tasker Hill line at least in half.
So what would that leave it at?
Tasker Hill was 73 for everything.
So let's say we cut it down to 4.
So if we did Ridge Road and the few on Tasker, you're talking like 15, 16?
All right, 16.
Well,
Yeah.
Ridge Road was 18,250.
Oh,
And that means
18.
18,250.
Oh, so, yeah, but still, to Beth's point, we're at 22,000 instead of 30,000.
Yeah.
I think that's a step in the right direction, definitely.
And then maybe just budget for Old Turnpike Road next year? I mean, unless they're desperately needing to come down.
No, I mean, they're big old trees. I mean, we're going to have issues with at some point.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to mean right now, or this year.
okay.
I would just like to do all of Ridge Road and, you know, and the trees that we need to take down, take them down.
Yeah, there's one that's right beside the road that's causing an issue with the roots. That one definitely has to come down, and there's a couple dead ones that are right there alongside the road that definitely have to come down as well. So I mean, you know, I could definitely work with that number.
You also got to take in consideration, we take these trees down and pave it from basically Tasker Hill Road all the way up to Angela Drive is going to be sunlight. It's going to save on sand and salt in the long run. You're going to open that road up to daylight the first time since
Ever.
Christ was born, you know, and it's going to improve that hill.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you're saying between the heat tracing and the sunlight,
in the solar glare.
we'll be making money.
If he needs, I mean, obviously, I will get a hold of Chris. We can go talk to the James, Mr. and Mrs. James, and I forget the chimney sweep guy's name. I apologize for that, but
Well, that tree is our tree. It's literally beside the road and inside the stone wall. So
Yeah.
I think the James, you know, and none of the wood up there it's all bull pine that I don't think everybody on this screen hold hands is like one trunk per tree, you know, so none of it's any good. So it's all gonna have to hauled off. So,
Yeah.
But if Chris wants to get a hold, I mean, I'll be around tomorrow. We can catch up and, you know, start.
No, I think we have, in my mind, we have a path forward here. So what I'm hearing is we want to stick with R&D because we like the quality. And I think with Beth's suggestion where we do the trees, we absolutely must.
Shave it down.
And then we fulfilled our promise to the town. Beth?
We have $9,000 in the tree budget, so we have almost half of it.
What about roadside mowing? You do anything like that this year, Chris?
Yeah, I just caution, I'm not sure if we took that into account when John and I were looking at it, but I'll make a note of that and make sure we do next time we revisit this. We might have already.
This is the stuff that needs to be discussed. You just can't start cutting. I mean, it always comes out of the highway, and that's why the roads are in this condition over the years and years and years. That's one of the reasons why I became selectman, to help the road guy out, because for 50,000 years, steel. You got to find it somewhere else. And, you know, it's.
Yeah. Well, this year, this year, I think we're fortunate we have the warrant. But even so, I agree with you 100%. I think we're spending money short term instead of saving long term, and we got to get out of that mode. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we had the discussion with Bob 2-3 days ago, you know, is whether his estimate of 450 and minus 600, you should be putting a lot more aside every year into roads than you currently are.
Yeah, that was clear. Yeah, we should be on a regular basis be doing more like $500,000 a year minimum. But we got to sell that to the town, so that's part of the plan. We got to have a good plan.
I have found in the past that if you say you're going to do roads and you do roads and people see progress being made, you probably can sell it.
Okay, well, that's another reason to do just what we suggested here. Do everything that was in the warrant, and that means spending some money on cutting the trees, and we just got to do it. So I guess that comes down to a motion to use R&D for the paving per Part A. Is that correct, John?
Yes.
Do you call it Part A or Section A, or what do you call it?
Subtotal A.
Subtotal A. So Tim?
Just One question, Chris, when you set out grinding, reclaiming, is that down 10 inches like normal?
Yep, that's a full
Okay.
base grind. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that subtotal A is reclaiming, but in reclaiming is the 317,000 of that is pavement for the base coat.
Okay. Further questions or further discussion on awarding that bid? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion to award the contracting for the roads, subtotal A for John, read the number exactly, please.
385,403.
385,403. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Tim,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and Hal is yes. Okay, John,
So Chris, you're going to make sure we have the performance bond and the certificate of insurance and the W-9 and that stuff before you let him proceed, correct?
Yes, correct. We actually, R&D accompanied it in the email that I believe you sent was the copy of their certificate of bond. And, but yeah, I got to get in touch with them and see what their schedule looks like anyways, because I'm at least going to have to push them off for a month until I can get the trees cut.
Yeah,
Right.
the insurance certificate's the only ones here and the bond has to be original, so
Okay.
yeah,
take them time to get it.
yeah.
I make a
Okay.
motion to hire Urban Tree to cut the trees on Ridge Road and Sherburne Hill, Ridge Road and Tasker Hill.
How do we want to say that? On an as-needed basis, or Chris, how do you want it worded so that you can get the trees you need, but that we don't, or no, wait, did we
100%
decide?
Ridge Road as needed on Tasker Hill.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so what dollar amount does that come up to?
I would entertain the, minimum up to 22,000.
Okay, so spending up to 22,000 to do all the necessary trees on Ridge Road and Tasker Hill Road,
Yep.
up to $22,000 to Irving Tree Service. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Matt. Any further discussion?
So that's under, I know we had what sounds like some unofficial quoting processes, right? Are we meeting the confines of our purchasing policy in terms of vendors and such here
You mean for the trees?
for the trees?
You've got a couple other bids, right, Chris, from Arbor Care and
Arbor Care is one I'm supposed to meet with him tomorrow. So no matter what, if we come up with the fund, I don't want to go to Urban Tree right off the bat. I would like to talk to Bartlett. They're supposed to meet me on Monday, and Arbor Care tomorrow. So
Yeah,
I would
that's why I'm wondering if we should hold off on awarding the contract.
Okay, no, Chris, you get that quote I sent? I just sent you on the phone?
Yes,
I sent
I
you
did.
Urban just update, okay.
Okay,
Yep.
but he needs to
So,
move on.
I
he
can
needs-
retract my motion until we meet again.
Hold on a second. John has a suggestion, I think.
When are we going to meet again? We shouldn't put this off until,
Oh, because
Yeah.
Beth's not here next week, so.
Well,
No,
what
he
is,
didn't.
Adam, what's the magic number where we need to, I'm comfortable with Chris choosing the best vendor here, as long as we're working within our confines.
Can we do a vote to say for Chris to do with the best vendor, spending up to $22,000? Or is that not allowed? John?
I don't know how your policy is written, but usually the board has a right to choose the method in which you're going to bid. So sometimes it's to get 3 quotes. So tell him you get 3 quotes and pick the best quote in this instance and authorize him for up to 22,000. You could do that.
I'd be very comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that too. And that
Get the
way.
ball rolling.
I want to get it going. I just want to make sure that we're doing it on the up and up.
Yeah, makes sense.
I thought he had 2, but I didn't hear a third. Yep. Thank you, Matt. Yep.
Okay, so I
Talk to
think,
Bartlett and Arbor Care, Chris, and
Yeah, We're gonna meet with them next week. I mean, you're talking a pretty significant company to do crane work like this, because I mean, these things are massive.
Right.
You're talking a 400-foot crane anyways.
Big one.
Yeah, those
Yep.
pine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're huge.
So I'm looking for a motion to spend $22,000 on the vendor that Chris deems best for the removal of the trees and on Tasker Hill Road and Ridge Road, to enable us to properly do the paving of those roads. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you. Beth seconds it. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and Hal is yes. Okay, Chris, sounds like you got your work cut out for you, buddy. Good luck on that. And Tim, thank you for your diligence on that. Appreciate it. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before
Matt.
we move on, we've been a little remiss in sending a congratulations to Selectwoman Boudreau on the birth of a new grandchild.
Oh,
So very exciting.
Number
yeah.
8.
No. Wow. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cha-ching, Christmas.
Okay. Well, yeah, but I'm sure other things make up for that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, did we have any citizens quorum there?
Oh, good question.
Not that I was forwarded.
And the girl, okay.
Yeah, and actually, tell you the truth, I don't even think we put that on the agenda for tonight. For work
Okay.
sessions, we often don't. So I think maybe folks sort of assume we wouldn't be reading any tonight. But a good point, and if we had some, we'd read them. Which does remind me, John sent out some suggestions. I'm going to take the liberty of putting them, wordsmithing them a little bit, and then I'm going to put those on the agenda for the 14th for at least the Citizens Forum portion thereof, so that you can look forward to that as an agenda item coming up. Okay. Then let's see here. Oops.
We did vote on R&D, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, hold on.
I think
No.
I made the motion, but let's go back and vote. I don't think we did, Chris. Good point. I think we stopped that because of the tree work.
No, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure I said per Schedule A, but let's just redo it again, just in case. So I need a motion to award the paving contract for the 3 roads discussed to R&D for $385,403, which is their subtotal A value.
So moved.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Roll call vote. Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yep.
Matt,
Yes.
and Hal is yes. Okay, so there might be 2 votes in there, but that's okay. We really want them to do the job.
I just want to be safe.
So, okay. Well, good luck on that, Chris.
Excellent. You guys all set with me?
Let me see here.
You can hold and let Timmy know he's hired?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I'll have him come in and do paperwork Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, good. Good. Thanks again for your diligence in that, Tim and Chris. Thank you. Okay, John, I'm hoping that maybe you have an update on building inspector. I saw somebody asking if we had a building inspector vehicle. Does that mean we're getting close to getting a building inspector?
We're collecting resumes still.
Okay.
It's a slow process. And again, some of them have ideas that they want to be paid by the inspection. And I don't think you want to go down that path. I think you want to pay so much an hour and schedule the hours. So that's what we're working on. But we are still a ways away on getting a building inspector.
Okay, my personal request is obviously if you could please continue to put pressure on moving that along. We're spreading this town staff pretty thin, and this would be one of the places that we could get some help. So please, as fast as you can. Okay. What about financial specialist? Any luck there?
Continue to collect resumes.
Okay. So we are getting some in?
Yes, we've got some that meet the minimum requirements and would be for the selectmen to consider.
Okay.
I assume, Beth, you're gone next week? No.
No. We were supposed to go away, but where we were going, everything's closed, so we're not going.
So are we having a meeting next week, or? I mean,
If you would like an emergency meeting,
No.
The next meeting is the 14th. Is
Okay.
that waiting too
plan on
long?
the 14th, they have some recommendations
Okay.
for consideration.
Okay. Thank you. Again, please, let's make sure we move that along too. Okay, so that's the financial specialist. Okay, then the next thing I have, John, is actually your request regarding meeting hall maximum capacity. Do you have a specific motion or a recommendation in terms of what you want to do on this?
Well, I think the issue becomes twofold. One, I would like the board to formally vote that everyone in the big meeting room needs to either wear a mask or stay 6 feet away from everybody else. I think that has to be a firm rule. Now, once you do that, the maximum capacity in that room is 24 on the basis of 6 feet circles. And that takes up space that you really can't legitimately use. So I think the board needs to set a maximum occupancy during this COVID in that room somewhere in the mid-teens. And I would like that, and you've got a committee already that is it 16 on the budget committee? So, I mean, you probably can't go below 16, but I wouldn't go much higher than that because of distancing.
Well, John, I think, it's 16 people on the budget committee, but then you've got some support folks there now. Certainly like Susan maybe has, we've discussed that if she's taking the notes, could be remote. But Linda, I would think would need to be there if we're going to take advantage of her skill set.
No, I think
The budget committee decided to do Zoom.
Oh, okay.
the budget committee is going to do Zoom.
Okay. So that takes some pressure
Took me
off.
months, but we did it.
That takes the pressure off the timing.
Yes.
But I would think right now you'd put a maximum, say 18 then. I think you need to have some 18 in the room maximum and require everyone to either wear a mask or stay 6 feet distance from everybody.
That's 18 plus us or 18 total?
18 total, counting
Okay.
the board, the committee.
So you
Yeah, whichever particular board or committee it is. But John, just clarify for me something. And if I'm missing something, others just please speak up. But when I looked at your diagram and counted the number of circles that were 6 feet apart or 6 feet in diameter for certain layouts there, you had two different layouts. I only saw like 10 or 12 circles, not 16 or 18.
Yeah, I don't know how Bob Young did those, and he's the one who came up with 24. But you're right, looking at the circles, they're not 24 circles. My assumption is he was assuming some were wearing masks, and therefore they could be closer than the 6 feet, and some were 6 feet distant. But
Oh.
So if we make everybody wear masks, how many people can we cram in that room?
No, I don't think we should be cramming even if they have a mask.
I agree with
Right.
you.
How many?
You might be
18?
able to be 3 feet instead of 6 feet, but you've got to have some distance, even wearing masks.
I think the other factor for me at least is if people are close, even if they are wearing masks, that area to me is not one that has forced ventilation. Let me just say it that way. It doesn't have a certain number of air changes per hour that I'm aware of. Beth?
So you're I mean, 18, that's cleaning out everything, like the piano you said, and moving the tables and,
Yeah, I would say right now, because we haven't moved anything, the number might be 12 or some number like that. It's a low number, and I think you should set the number for the capacity, require everybody to continue to offer electronic attendance,
Right.
require masks or staying 6 feet distance. Or, you could require masks, but I know that's controversial with some people. Some people who have asthma or COPD, they might not be able to wear a mask. Maybe they should be wearing a shield, but something or other, or distance, one or the other of those. In the other town in which I'm working, we allowed shields as an option instead of masks. The fire department had some from emergency management, and so somebody who has a health issue could wear a shield, but basically mask or a shield.
I have to say personally, I'm a little bit hesitant to approve anything more than what I saw on Bob's 2 diagrams, which I believe is like 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And even then, given what I believe is the amount of ventilation in that room, I personally would like to see folks wearing masks. And if we have to accommodate people by letting them watch on the public broadcast and take measures like that, including citizen forum via email and stuff like that, I personally would feel more comfortable. But I guess I also wonder whether I'm just being too conservative. So, let's just go around. Beth, how do you feel? Is like 10 or 12 too conservative?
no, I think a dozen would be a safe number until we actually see what 12 people look like in that room. We don't really know.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We might get, as different boards and committees use them, we might get some ideas and maybe be able to go more once we've seen how it works. Matt, how do you feel?
I think 12 is probably fair. I agree that one of my biggest concerns in that building is airflow.
Yeah.
So, a sneeze can fill that room pretty darn quick, regardless of how many people are in there.
Yeah. Well, would that be an argument for masks at that point then, Matt? Is that what you're
certainly
saying?
would. Yeah, I'd really like to see us mandate masks. And I agree that it's a controversial thing, but I'll be wearing mine.
Yeah. Okay, Tim, how do you feel?
So if we open up, so we're gonna have to make another rule and regulation for the budget committee if we limit it down to 12, because it's gonna be 5 of us, and then like 7 people. So it's not gonna, that's gonna be too many for the budget committee. So we have to make another rules for that.
I think the budget committee, if they can, would have to continue to meet via Zoom until we can either figure out a way to get the capacity up in that room more. But I guess I'd say it a different way. If we set the limit at 12, then the boards and committees have to work within that constraint. So if they can't work within that constraint, then default is back to Zoom. So like, for example, the planning board, there's 5 or 6 members on that, plus the support gets you up to 8. So they might say, we're going to limit it to 1 case at a time, the applicant, their representative, in addition, and then we can only have 2 other people that, sit through the meeting, from the public, maybe. Beth?
What if we got a big tent like the Strawberry Festival tent and put it in the grass?
That's certainly an option for them if that's something they want to consider. But, again, that's a lot of setup, takedown, and still somewhat weather dependent.
Well, I was thinking about the public hearings for the planning board.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, my position on that, Beth, is I think we should set what we think are reasonable limits and then let them try to figure out how to work within those constraints. Because I listened to the discussion last night on the planning board, and there are actually considerations that we just wouldn't necessarily think of or maybe put the right weight on. So I'm kind of reluctant to sort of, say this is how you have to do it. I'd rather just personally, again, keep it to a specific limit and a specific approach. And then if they can work within those constraints, fine. If they can't, then they Zoom. Matt?
Is there anything that would be stopping those committee chairs from, communicating with the school or something like that to move a meeting to a larger venue like the
No.
gymnasium?
No, it's really up to them.
Because to me, that makes a lot of sense too.
They're elected officials, and they can certainly do that. I mean, we'd have to think about budget issues and stuff, but
Yep.
But no, there's nothing that stops them from doing any of those things. But I do think it is our job to tell them what our guidelines and requirements are, in fairness, so that they can either work with them and realize that they can, or as Beth or you said, decide to make alternative arrangements or continue to use Zoom. So I guess based on that, since John requested it, I guess what I'm going to ask for is a motion to allow meetings by town boards and committees with up to 12 people, all of whom wear masks. Do I have a motion to
Or
that?
shield. Or shield, if for health reasons.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's do it that way. So it would be up to 12 people, all wearing masks or shields. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Matt. John?
And the clear understanding is they're going to have to continue to go out on Zoom in order to meet the needs of public.
Yes, yes, yes. All meetings will continue to be electronically transmitted, and therefore things like citizen input and things like that need to come in. They need to have provisions for electronic means to collect that also. Beth?
Well, this would include all of the things that John had said, though, but cleaning your own little station where you're sitting, because with the cleaning company's coming twice a week, so you're having a meeting there, but you still have to wipe down your own little seat.
I think we could just say per the
Cleaning, whatever.
the cleaning guidelines as outlined by the town administrator.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So let's write these down. It's 12 people, mask or shield, electronic,
Transmission.
yeah, thank you, and cleaning per individual position cleaning per town per TA's. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the health officer and emergency management director, I like it coming from the committee and not just the town administrator.
There you go. Okay, yeah, per committee. Yeah, that makes much more sense. Okay. So, are you willing to withdraw your motion and go with the amended motion, Beth?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. And Matt, how about you?
I'll second the amended motion.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Tim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Matt?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
And Hal is yes. John, I don't want to say after all that, but does that get you what you needed?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so then I guess next up is the decision on who's going to fill the Board of Selectmen or Select Board vacancy. We talked about this a little bit, so I just want to review what we had proposed. make sure either everyone understands it first, and then also everybody is comfortable with that approach. And if we're not, then we're going to have to discuss it a little bit more. But what we had originally talked about was to get an initial indication as to who we think might be the best people or person for this position. What we talked about was doing a forced ranking. So, for example, if we did a forced ranking on fruit, I might say apple is my first choice, and that gets 5 points. Oranges are my second choice. They get 3 points. And pears is my third choice, and that gets 2 points. And everybody would, via the chat, individual chat to John on Zoom here, would send in their votes. And then John will read them off in terms of who voted, like he'll say, Hal voted for apples as number one. He voted for oranges number 2 and pears number 3. And then he'll go to Beth's vote and Matt's vote and then Tim's vote, or whatever order he chooses. And that way we don't influence each other when we're voting, but all the votes ultimately become public. Does everybody understand the process?
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
Nothing for you.
Well, I mean, for me.
Oh,
You
no, John will
Taking
John will
notes.
give you. Yeah, John will.
Do you want me to put apples and oranges and pears in the minutes?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Okay.
I was
Sorry.
using that as an example.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it because you wanted to keep it secret.
He wants to.
Yeah.
All right,
And just
never
as a
mind.
reminder to my fellow select board
Okay.
members,
I was like, wow, this
don't
is the
put pears
first
down
time.
as one of your choices for the select board.
Okay.
I want to be clear. If this was in a room, it would be done openly, and if the public could all see it. And by my reading what everybody writes, it will be open and it's transparent to the public. So that's what we're doing right here.
Yeah, with
Okay.
one caveat there, John. Even if we were all sitting around the table, I would ask everybody to write down their votes and then pass them to me or you for the reading. Because
Correct.
again, I don't want, my vote to influence somebody else's when they hear what I say. So that's why we're doing the vote via writing and then disclosing the vote publicly.
Does Matt by chance have a spreadsheet there that he'll do it on to make the numbers work out at the end?
I can do that. That's easy.
Thank you.
What I was going to suggest was, as we're sending them to John, that we send them with the point attribution as opposed to the place, just to make the math easier.
Say that again, please.
As we're sending our votes to John, if we send it with the name and the number of points as opposed to the name and the ranking, that's going to make things a little easier.
Too late. I already did it.
Too late? You already sent it? Yeah. John's a smart guy. He'll figure it out.
So you want like Matt 5 points, Hal 3 points, Beth 2 points, not.
I just think that's easier to keep track of in terms of. But John, between you and I, we got a lot of brain power. We're going to figure this out.
So it's 5, 3, 2.
Yep.
Yes.
5, 3, 2.
I figured it. I figured out yours, Beth.
Okay. All right. I have 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Yeah. If you want to put first, second, and third, I'll figure it out and read it as a number.
All right. So we're just chatting up John. Hold on.
Okay.
Whoops.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we'll give John 2 minutes so that I can take a bio break and that he doesn't feel like there's a lot of pressure on him to come up with an answer right away. So,
That the pizza delivery just came, Matt? So you're sticking your head out the window.
No, I heard a dog bark and I was
No.
just making sure it wasn't mine causing trouble.
Now I want a fruit salad. You're talking about pears, apples, and watermelon stuff. I'm gonna make myself a fruit salad.
Okay, I think we have everybody's vote in. So I'll read it.
Oh, wait,
Hang
Hal.
on, let's let the chairman return from his break.
Now this is just point totals. This is nothing official.
Correct.
Right, this is
just to get the discussion started, really. So
Now, under the exception, like Matt said the other day, if somebody doesn't get like a point or less, cross.
yeah, we probably, but again, let's just see what the results are and then we can discuss. Yeah.
Okay. Beth voted in sequence. Pam gets 5, Judy gets 3, Jamie gets 2.
Who was that, please?
Beth.
Pam?
Oh, wait a minute. I moved away. Yeah. Beth, Pam gets 5,
Yep.
Judy gets 3, Jamie gets 2.
Okay, thank you.
Matt, Wade gets 5, Judith gets 3, and Pam gets 2.
Okay,
For Hal, Wade gets 5,
okay,
Pam gets 3, Judy gets 2. And for Tim, Pam gets 5, Judy gets 3, Jamie gets 2. Did I miss any of those? Did anybody I just
Nope.
want to verify from everybody that I was correct. Beth?
I thought we were on a bathroom break.
I am, but I'm back.
I just came back though.
Does anybody else want to take a bathroom break?
I can go over it again for you, Beth.
Please, do you mind? I'm sorry.
Not at all. Well, yours was Pam gets 5, Judy gets 3, Jamie gets 2. Matt's was Wade gets 5, Judith gets 3, Pam gets 2. Hal was Wade gets 5, Pam gets 3, Judy gets 2. And Tim was Pam gets 5, Judy gets 3, Jamie gets 2.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so let's just tally up. So Pam would get 5, 10, 15, 17 votes or 17 points.
That's Pam.
Yes, because she gets 5 from
15.
5.
I
Huh?
get 15.
15 points.
Yeah, I get 15, Matt.
50, oh.
5, 5, and
yes,
10 out of 5.
Yes, 15. Sorry. 15. So Pam's 15, Wade's 10. Judy is what?
10.
6, 9. I get 11.
Judy,
Yeah, I get 11.
2, 5, 8, 8, 11.
Yeah, I get 11.
11.
Oh, I made a mistake somewhere then.
Okay.
Hal's
And then-
got Judy 2. I got Judy 3. Beth Judy 3. And Matt Judy 3. So
Yep.
9 and 2 is 11. Yep.
Okay.
Who
And
else had Judy as 3? I'm sorry. Oh, Beth did.
Beth?
Yeah.
Sorry. That's where my mistake
Tim,
was.
Matt, and Beth had Judy 3.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, and then Jamie is
4.
4.
4. Okay, so how do folks feel about that vote? Any suggestions in terms of narrowing down the field?
I mean, if I may,
Yes, please.
I think Pam and Judy both got votes from the entire board, which I would identify as being pretty darn meaningful.
Yes.
So, whereas Mr. Saul's got 2 first place votes, it was only 2 out of the 4 votes.
Yeah, okay.
So, I think, my suggestion would be that if you're amenable, to pare it down to Miss Lodo and Miss Sanderson for basically a
runoff.
second round, a runoff.
I see Tim agrees with that. Beth, how do you feel about that?
That's fine.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that too. And I think actually, Matt, that's kind of good logic. And, you know, quite frankly, Jamie is in the same position. You know, two folks thought that was okay, that Jamie was okay, but you know, sort of the same thing as Wade, even though Wade got more points. I think we have, as a board, a better chance of getting consensus where we all had somebody in the running, so to speak. Beth?
I'm just really happy we had so many people that actually wanted to do it.
Me too.
Yeah, I was really, yeah, because I was sort of wondering.
Where were these people like when myself and Mr. Hadley ran? Why didn't they step up back then?
They did though, and we should say thank you, and I appreciate everyone considering it. So thank you so much.
Well, and encourage them to vote or to run again, please. Yeah, Tim, I think to some point, some people want to try it out. Some people don't necessarily want a long term.
That's true.
You know,
so like we all agreed on, you know, Pam and Judy. So now do we come up with a couple more questions, bring them in? What's the next step, Matt, you think? Or anybody, Hal? Beth?
No, Matt, what do you think? Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, you know, I've been of the mind that I want to get this going.
Yes.
For a while.
Yeah, me too.
So
can we make a vote right now? Anybody feel comfortable?
My preference, I think we've got a lot of really good information to go off of.
I don't think we're going to know them any better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless people are uncomfortable, I say we have a runoff vote between those two.
I think we should too. And then if we split 2 and 2, that's where we get stuck.
Well, then we bring in the John rule.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling you, that's where consensus building comes in. I really think you should reach a consensus where all 4 of you believe the process was fair and accept the results, and that there's not any dissatisfaction.
Okay.
I think by choosing somebody, the 2 people being selected by all 4 of you to be in the finalists, I thought that was a good point that was made. So
excellent. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm going to call for a runoff vote. Please vote to John via the chat. And then
we're just giving him one name who we want.
Yes.
One point,
one name.
One name. Okay.
One name.
But I do think they would both do an amazing job.
I want to make the exact same point. I'm happy with either one of these nominees.
Whoever it is, I'm okay.
Yep, we're all good. Yep, thank you, guys. Lock in your vote.
Yeah.
Can we phone a friend or call ask the audience, or how are we doing this?
At least we're not voting anybody off the island. I feel good about that.
Oh, we just did a couple.
No, we're not voting them out of town. We just said they can't be on the select board.
okay, right. You do have a winner. I thought it was going to be a tie for a minute. Hal voted for Pam, Matthew voted for Judy, Beth voted for Pam, and Tim voted for Pam. So Pam wins 3-1.
Matt, are you comfortable with that?
I am 100% comfortable. I'll make the motion to appoint Pam Sanderson as the nominee, the select person to fill the vacancy on the select board.
We have a second.
Second that, knowing that she resigns from the zoning board.
Oh, is that a conflict?
Ooh, she can't be zoning board if she's a selectman.
But you don't have to be we don't have a representative on the zoning board.
Okay, I just want to make, is that?
But yeah, but we'll have to check to see if it's a conflict of duties. John, do you know by any chance?
I have had selectmen before who were zoning board members. And at that time, this was a while ago, it wasn't, but I'd have to check the more recent.
Okay, so yeah, Tim, I think your point's well taken.
Okay, I just want to,
subject to verification that there's no conflict of duties, and if there is, she would resign the zoning. Beth?
If she chooses not to resign zoning, we could offer it to Judy though, right?
No, I think we're making I'd like this firm. We're making the appointment and that's a requirement on our part.
All right.
If it's a conflict, I don't like the uncertainty, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
We haven't met in months anyways.
Well, you know what? We could look this up pretty
I can
quick.
fix this. I just looked it up on NHMA's website and there is no incompatibility. She can serve on
There you
both
go.
with some specific caveats. If the ZBA hears and decides appeals of administrative decisions, which includes decisions made by the Board of Selectmen in the enforcement of the zoning ordinance, if the Board of Selectmen makes a decision that is later appealed to the ZBA member who is also a selectman will not be able to participate in that case. I don't think we're going to have that pop up in the next little bit. You never know, but the RSAs are pretty clear on it.
Hey,
Okay,
this
so
is
hold on
Northwood.
a second.
Anything can
John wants to
happen.
make a point, and then Susan, I think, has a point. So John,
The most common place that is if the building inspection is appealed, the zoning
Oh.
board is the building board of appeals. The selectman is over the building inspector. That right there is sometimes happens, but you're right. It's only when those kinds of situations arise.
okay, good. And Susan,
We ask everybody who wanted to be selectman to maybe be on the zoning board if she does have to leave, because we have tried, it's taken us so long to
Okay.
get a full board.
You'd ask them all to do something.
yeah, we can, yeah, I mean, look, clearly these are civic-minded folk,
Yes,
and, you know, we should be asking them to be in all kinds of stuff.
Let's keep this rolling. We got things,
okay, I'm sorry.
a lot more to do, Hal.
But
Yeah.
I do think a thank you note to all of them and encourage them to, volunteer on other ways. I mean, there are so many more committees that need help. So
Yep, that's true. Oh, speaking of that, I just got something from Bob Strobel, who wants to be on the Highway Advisory Committee. So we got one more person.
there you go.
John, did you want to say something?
I was just going to ask if Susan had time to send a thank you and mention the vacancies on the zoning board if they wanted to join or something. Do you?
I could do that if you give me the names, the list.
Okay.
We'll assign that to you and
Thank you.
Susan, John. Yeah, I'm sure there's not enough on your plate yet, so let's throw that on top of
That's
you.
why I'm trying to delegate, and everybody else has already got so much delegated. It's tough because we're so short-staffed. I
I
appreciate.
can
all
do
the-
shameless plugs for all the boards.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so we need to get those positions filled, John. Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
I have two quick things that may not have been on the agenda, but I just want to bring them up because.
We need
Okay,
to
so
call the
hold
vote
on.
on that question.
Hold on a second. Matt, did you have something else you wanted to bring up?
Did we actually call the vote on the appointment?
No, we didn't. We did not. Sorry, hold on. John, does it affect the vote?
No, not at all.
Okay. So I think the motion is to have Pam fill the vacancy on the select board. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
To appoint Pam Sanderson to the Board of Selectmen.
Yep. So roll call vote. Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes, and thank you to
and
everybody.
Hal is yes. So again, congratulations to Pam and really a sincere thank you to all the others that applied. Thank you very much.
And all the board members. I mean, that went easier than I thought. Last couple of days and weeks, I was gonna say, this is gonna go on forever and ever and ever, so.
Yeah, I thought so.
We came together, people. We appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I had envisioned actually a longer meeting, but that was good. Okay, so now, John, you're up.
Two things. We have received a resignation from the recreation director effective the July 10th. Certainly, we appreciate her services and wish her well. And the other issue that has come up, I just wanted to mention that I did get the extra cleaning. I think I may have mentioned that, but we're going to have it cleaned one extra time a week. And hopefully if there's not going to be more than one meeting a week in there, so that will take care of that. So.
Okay. Tim, do you had a question or a point?
No, one quick thing. Where did we fall on the scenic hall? I know we talked about, the tax rate and all this other stuff. I mean, I don't want to put Dennis off because as I said, I'm in the construction, he's in the
Yeah,
construction.
and so I told Dennis that we were probably going to wait until we had our legal RFPs back.
Okay.
To figure out who would be representing us on those issues. I think based on
As long as we still got it in our thought.
Based on the way it looks like things are going, at least my understanding of it, I'm actually comfortable reaching out to our current representation around this land use issue. And if things change in terms of that, then we can continue with Mitchell. And if for some reason we need to change midstream, we will. So, but I don't think we would have to.
Okay,
Like
so
I said,
I'll tell you what.
end of
I'm just-
June, beginning of July, and he's got to get something in the ground before
Sure.
something,
Okay, so
Thank
hold
you.
on a second. I'm just gonna put that, make sure that's on the agenda for the upcoming meeting, the legal. Actually, no, I take that back. Matt, John, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, there's no problem with continuing with Mitchell on any project that comes.
Yeah.
Right.
Once
That's what I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yep.
a new attorney, then they'll get everything new from there on, but Mitchell would
Right.
finish out.
Yep.
So if Laura or
Frankly,
Walter.
I've been doing legwork to this point, just trying to save on billable hours on some of this stuff. But I think I'm at the point where maybe I'll send you what I've put together, and however the board wants this to happen. I don't mind talking directly to Mitchell, or to Laura, whomever at our current office, or if we want to go through John, however you guys think that makes more sense.
I'll tell you, my personal opinion is that sometimes it's helpful. I know that when I was on the phone with John and legal earlier this week, I thought it was useful to have both of us there. You've talked to Mr. Tuttle, so I'd look for a motion that says you and John collaboratively call the lawyers and sort this out.
So moved.
Do we have a second on that?
Yep. Thank you, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
Any discussion? No, if not, then Beth, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim?
Yep. Just keep us in the loop. Yep.
Yeah, Matt
Yes.
and Pam? I don't hear her.
She's not here yet.
No, she's abstaining.
She didn't call in. She gets
John,
no goal start tonight.
I'll distill what I've got into an email and get it to you early next week, if that's okay with you.
I did that. I did
And
that.
just a notice to Pam, she'll have to be sworn in by somebody, either the town clerk or the chairman of the board can swear her in. I would think the town clerk would be the easiest.
Yeah, well, that's been our tradition. We write up the paperwork upstairs. It goes down to Savannah. Savannah's been swearing in everybody, and then the paperwork comes back up. So we need to write up the oath of office.
And then she'll have to make an appointment with Savannah.
Yes.
Yes.
But we write it up and get it ready.
She's got some time, right? Because the next meeting ain't till the 14th now.
Yeah. And it doesn't
So-
address my question that I had. I was joking about her voting, but yeah, until she's sworn in, she doesn't have the authority to vote.
Right.
But she could, I would encourage Pam that you do that sooner rather than later, because if we do slip in a meeting for some reason, then
Get a
you're
hold of
available.
Savannah quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. John, anything else on your side?
I've got a non-public.
Okay, so let me just double check here. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to ask John for your help on this. No, I guess actually the three items I have, two are already addressed. So I'm going to tell the public that it is unlikely that we will have anything else to vote on coming out of non-public because, John, what letter are we going in under?
A
A.
or B.
B,
Yeah,
employment?
A. No,
You said
A.
A. You said A in the email.
Yeah, A.
Okay,
91A32A.
A. Okay, so it's unlikely that we will have anything coming out of the non-public to vote on?
Well, you might have an announcement, that's all.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna give Matt the hosting.
Okay, thank
and
you.
then you can just
Puts a Superman cape on.
you can just put me and I
Yeah,
guess Lisa into the waiting room, and I'll just wait.
Okay. That's
It's not gonna
fine.
be like till midnight, is it?
No, no,
Just
no.
checking. I'll get a,
Definitely
I'll get a
not.
pillow.
If you want, Susan, I'll just email you what the brief non-public minutes, you know. if-
Okay,
Yeah,
I can wait and
not
and when
sealed.
you come back
Okay,
out,
yeah,
so,
okay.
okay.
That'd be better, just in case,
Hold on.
please.
Let me see if I remember how to do this.
Well, Susan, you need to turn off everything
Right.
before you hand it over to me.